room on student learning, 28% said we have a pretty good environment always. 35% said most of the time. 28% said some of the time, and 8% of us are like, Okay, so overall these questions, they took the average, and this bottom line is kind of all of these questions 1 through 15 had to do kind of with our student learning. So then you guys can start to look at those questions, and there's some like drastic differences. Like in number 10, it says if I don't understand something, my teacher explains it in a different way. Like it's kind of like, oh, we're pretty decent. 5 said meh, but 14, 15, and 16 said almost some of the time to always. Okay, so just start to look over those things and see if something jumps out to you. Maybe there is a question that you guys remember. We did this right before spring break. But maybe there's a question that like you remember like really hitting home with you, and you might want to see how your friends answered. You can check that out. The next page, on page 2, you flip it over. This whole chunk right here is a student-centered environment. If you look at that, it's like my teacher cares about me. Guys, 34 on number 19, 34 of you all said always. That's pretty cool, and I appreciate that. I tried really hard for that. But then only 21 said always, where students feel comfortable sharing their ideas in this class. Okay, so that whole area is student-centered. That's what that like chunk. There's that summary line again down here on the element percentage is kind of what I like to look at. But 64% kind of said always, which is kind of a really cool thing. Or 86% says most of the time to always. Do you guys see that? Okay. Then the next chunk is on that same page, and it says classroom community. All right. So, like for example, I asked for help when I need it. 22 said always. That's really cool. And 31% kind of give this like a positive always classroom community vibe if you look down here at the 31, okay? And then finally the third page, all of this is classroom management. And so some of this is in your control. We've asked for feedback like along the way of like what can we do better to make sure we're using our time wisely. And this one is like always is only 12%. Most of the time is 41% overall. This only has 4 questions. Because as far as like you guys having control over what's going on, there's not a lot there, but I think that there is some things that you definitely have control over, right? So those 4 questions, you can see the summary right there. Now, what I want to ask you guys to do is this. We are going to process some of this information in the group, and we'll spill over into probably Wednesday as well. I don't see you guys tomorrow, okay? But we'll see you Wednesday, and we'll continue this process. And we're doing it some individually, and then some as a group, and then individually again, okay? So I want to be able to have, I have a packet that we're going to work on as a group, like smaller groups, that you guys are going to set goals as like, what can we do as a class? But then we're going to move that into, what can I do? What one of these really relates to me that I can set a SMART goal? You guys remember setting SMART goals with Miss Worley? Some of you guys have done that. This is like our 3rd or 4th time. Don't worry, I'll walk you through it, okay? So, we're going to do a little experiment that's silent right now. I know it's like a silent day. It's like the theme for silent, you know, with CMAS and that sort of thing. But this is called a chalk talk, and we've never done this before. But what we're going to do is that it's silent, and no one is going to talk, but you can move, okay? And the way that we're going to move, Diego and Valeria, the way that we're going to